district meeting is January 7th. Let's stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, everybody has the agenda. Is there any amendments or we did approval of the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chair, let's add 13.1 related items, smarter balanced fuel test report.
Anything else?
I'll make a motion that we accept the agenda with additional 13.1 smart balance field test report. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda with the addition of the 15.1 started as fuel test results. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the minutes, our regular meeting minutes of June 9th.
I'll second that.
So Bill moved, Rebecca seconded to approve the minutes as presented. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, committee minutes are approved. Our hearing minutes from January 28th.
Yes, I don't have a question. How did this survey?
Yeah, he's got it on.
Are we caught up on minutes now?
I think we should be. I think this is the last one.
We should be ready.
Yes, I agree.
I make a motion that we just do the minutes. January 28th.
I'll second.
As he made the motion, and Stephanie seconded, motion to approve the hearing minutes from January 28th. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Aye. Motion carries. Correspondence.
Mr. Chair.
Any comment? No. Financial and budget updates.
Okay, we have two options for the May revenue estimate. Option one is where if we end the year with 1.3 million in any fund balance, it shows we have $125,000 more in revenue than there is in expense. And the option two is if we approve the additional $50,000 in this year's transfer to Fund 450, then the estimated beginning fund balance for next year would be $1,252,000, which still puts you $75,000 more in revenue than the current approved budget expenditure. Now, I'm not sure, the negotiations, remember, we received $150,000 in next year's contingency to cover the negotiation costs. But I understand now it's up to 180.
Yeah, Wayne.
180, so subtract 30,000 from that 75,000. So what you're really looking at is $45,000 additional revenue that's not what do you call it? allocate. But there are some things that you have to, that $45,000 you have to consider. I can find it. That $45,000 may have to cover the costs of new employee salary. You don't exactly know who is going to hire you, and at what level. We won't know until September who is going to opt out of OED health insurance and go for a district paid TSA. And keep in mind, we have to pay PERS on that TSA. And then, of course, there's always the Oregon Department of Education school support contributions, which may go up or down throughout the year. And that's dependent on the state revenue forecast. But $45,000 should be just enough buffer there to cover any additional costs that is possible, or loss of revenue. But I strongly recommend that you take the advantage of increasing this year's transfers by another $50,000 in 2450. Now, next year we have $118,000 budgeted for transfer to that fund, and if this additional $166,000 is proposed tonight, that'll put $284,000 in that fund, which takes care of and wipes out the $257,000 on the siding project, and then the extra for other projects within that fund. So in other words, it brings it back to a healthy thing, healthy level.
I'll make a motion that we go with the second option as presented. The second option. And Mr. Billy Smile, that's $50,000.
So Rebecca made a motion and Stephanie seconded to approve option 2. It's $50,000 transfer. Thanks. Did you vote on that?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Well, that's 61.
62, budget, been budgeted in for us.
60 and 63.
So it's what we just voted on, that's 60.
No, we discussed the form of the building support.
Okay, so we voted 6-4, that's 6-1, so it's just 6-2.
So 62, budget and budgeted in.
Yeah, I don't recommend any changes made in next year's budget. Leave it as is. It's more than adequate covered our expenditures for this year.
Any additional staffing that can be taken care of separately from what we proposed.
Yeah, and then 6.3, elimination of Fund 294. We received notice of that grant back early in the winter, January, February, somewhere in there. But then since then, the ESD has taken that over as a consortium account. And so there's nothing being spent out of it, and there's no use having that fund next year. And if you look at resolution number 25, I have not really plugged in anyway. So I just like to eliminate it from next year. It's only $8,450.
So they've taken the funds and they're allocating it there, so
Yes.
it doesn't exist in our budget.
Right. Yes, you need a motion to eliminate that fund.
I make the motion that we eliminate Fund 294
fiscal 14-15.
Out of the what?
14,
This is
15.
This is the 14-15 budget.
Right.
Okay. I see.
Leslie made the motion, Bill seconded to eliminate Fund 294 on the fiscal 14-15 budget. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Moving items,
Then, Mr. Chair,
reports. LLC grand opening report, update.
so nice picture back there of, this is the Oregon Solutions project team. Under the new signage for the Innovation Learning Center. And Dr. Nancy Golden is standing right next to Kristen Twait on the left, second one in. And she participated in the Oregon Solutions meetings. The director of Oregon Solutions is the tall guy, right in the middle there, it's Michael Mills. And he's directly out of the governor's office, as well as, well, she didn't make the picture. There's another representative out of the governor's office here also. So left to right, Kristen Twait, ACC director, of course, and we got Dr. Nancy Golden, chief education officer of the state of Oregon. We have Julie Marie Jensen, who is vice president of Climate Community College. And then David, I don't know his last name, standing right next to David is Beth Henshaw, who is the director of the Oregon State University, is the Open Campus Project. And the gentleman that was named is taking her place, because she's retiring. And of course, Michael Mills, the tall guy from Oregon Solutions, Dr. Gutierrez is at the center there. We have Angela Price between myself and Dr. Gutierrez, who is regional coordinator for Pacific Power. And Jim Walls, of course, from LCRI. Willie Riggs, okay. OSHA extension from Klamath. And then, of course, our county commissioner, Dan Chow. Very productive day. Daryl, Rebecca, Stephanie, you guys got to interact over breakfast with Chief Education Officer. Any comments, thoughts, insights, words of wisdom?
It's just very receptive to hearing this information and things that really matter. The girls were really good.
You want to realtor?
Maybe it was Stephanie. I don't know. I don't know. Yes.
When you say gorilla, what do you mean?
No, just. Give me more information.
Good with that.
It was very good. I asked her about the cafeteria. We went there, like. She didn't have any suggestions for the telephone, but she didn't know anything about it. Well, I should say that. She didn't know us, but honestly, it's been on the cafeterias.
Keep in mind the cafeteria legislation is federal in the state.
Exactly.
It's a little out of her.
But it's something to report out to the feds that the cafeteria item isn't necessarily working as envisioned in Washington or down here.
And resources that could possibly assist us in resources. So,
Once a week, I get 1, 2, or 3 memos from the state about regulation changes in helping kids out of the area.
It's
I
dynamic,
don't even know how to keep up with it.
that's a little too dynamic. That's a little too dynamic. Once a month would be even a lot. Once a month.
I just got 2 this week, today, not like last week.
Yeah, you know, because you do many planning for the month. So, you know,
it's good.
that's good, that's good. Congratulations.
Since we're talking cafeteria.
Preliminary cafeteria financial report.
Yeah, this is a preliminary. Last week, no integration. And we're still paying some bills and we're still reaching level for the state and for the school. As you can can see down there below line G on the right-hand side. Up here, you can, based on the information I had, that the cafeteria is going to be at least 36,000 in the hall. And then below that, in the box, you can see that the gross operating profit without general fund transfers is around 53,000, which is about the same as last year. But because we're still paying some bills and still receiving some revenue, I'm going to safely say that number, both those numbers will go up or down by $5,000.
Or no.
Now I'm trying in the first meeting on successor.
Isn't this showing us we're losing more though because we transferred twice as much?
This year we're going to transfer 50,000. Next year is scheduled 30,000 each cafeteria. So it's 50 this year and 60,000.
I think 7 years when it started, we were only transferring like 20. Yes, it's
20 total.
it's ratcheting up progressively.
When I was first here, it was involvement from profit. That's why we didn't have union on our both cafeterias. That's the bar.
Oh, okay, so it's in the restaurant.
Yeah.
Taste. Maybe
Right.
some kids.
If we had 1,000 then we would be either breaking even or losing.
Oh, okay, so part of it is.
So we need 1,000. Yes, no, 7.
Even with the new regulations, would be that close?
Yeah, at least we won't lose some less.
Right.
This new regulation. So the new regulations are probably costing us anywhere between $2,000.
That's a little cost. You don't lose it for the first
It just makes sense. So,
That's great. Well, thank you very much.
Our business manager hiring update.
First round of interviews scheduled for this Wednesday. We are interviewing 7 candidates on Wednesday. We'll be selecting finalists, and bringing back for second round of interviews for the weekend. So, committee set. Good to go.
hopefully,
A lot of them helping out, a lot of organizing. Now, let's see, it depends on the first round of interviews feature in October, right? And Stephanie, your second round. And then, leaning on Patty Mills, myself, Will and Steve are both on first round, and then Will's on second round. We'll be giving tours for the 3 finalists as we're interviewing. Miss anybody?
Nancy Albertson.
Well, that's right, Nancy Albertson, Budget Committee. Anybody else?
Mhm.
I think that's it. So, very high quality candidate. Very good. Very good. It's gonna be a tough decision. It is. You can see this guy going up. Yeah. It's a good situation.
Old business.
Lemon tree.
Consent agenda. So we have resolution 44, the financial studies.
It's all standard. Last meeting of the year, resolutions. Same thing with the CYC contract.
Or any changes to that?
No.
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Chairman made the motion to approve the consent agenda, second, seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. 11, new business. So 11 minutes certified higher recommendation.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have two recommendations. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Mr. Proctor for Dartmouth's recommendation.
First one is Stephen Scoville. He's recommending him for our new art. He has 15 years experience in education, classified and certified employee. Spent the last year in Beijing, China, teaching art to Chinese students and American students. Had excellent references from both China and at Clackamas High School. Has experience as a campus resource officer. I imagine we'll be kind of using him as a school safety, being on our safety committee. Excellent resource there. Seems like a kid magnet from the references, and just, of course, the interview was done by Skype. All the our interviews were done by Skype. China's 15 hours ahead of Oregon, so his first interview was 4:30 in the morning his time, so it was an interesting process. But, he's an Oregonian, has an Oregon teaching license. And his wife kind of moving down here late July, early August. Decided to get him going.
Good job.
So, has anybody seen the movie Internship? When they did the Skype interview? When you thought of the Skype interview, you have to see the movies. They had to go to the public library to use Skype. I can imagine what the time would be so like. It's like, or the interns. The interns, I'm sorry, the interns. The internship. Yes.
Is that the one most of this one?
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, excellent. Yeah.
Now we all know.
Kids work at Google.
Yes. Well, good, that sounds pretty exciting, it sounds like an exciting thing.
Yeah, he's gonna do our yearbook. He's probably a computer apps class for us. He's tech savvy guy. I'm gonna send him the yearbook this summer. You can get him up to speed there. And Josh, I already talked to Josh through that. And we've got him lined up with some training. So,
Your book was really cool.
yeah, yeah.
Will he do any photography or?
Yeah, he has some digital photography. Mainly, it's sculpting would be his strength. But he's a drawer, painter, photography.
I'm thrilled we found something. The program going, so that's great.
Do we need to do a motion in digital?
I'll move that we approve the art teacher petition as outlined by Mr. Brock. And we hire students.
Mr. Scobie? All right, Barry made the motion, Rebecca seconded to approve the art teacher hire of Mr. Stephen Scoville. More discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries.
Culinary arts.
Yeah. June Albertson, we had the culinary arts, job posted on EdSat for about 2 months with 0 applicants. So, we did a little recruiting locally and brought in a couple, folks, with catering and cooking and baking experience. And, selected June, like recommended June. Was impressed with June's background, of course, in the culinary field, as well as she's has some coursework already that will help her towards her CTE certified certificate. And teaching in her blood with her family. She's did 4 days of pretty good intensive training with up in Bend. So Ray's already met her. And we have an advisory committee meeting scheduled for Wednesday to get her going on her advisory group. So she's off and running. She came and got keys today and I'd like to start, getting in her classroom. We're excited to have June on board.
How is the license issued?
She has some coursework. She has a 3-year. She'll have a 3-year plan where she'll have to take some college and or training like we've sent her. The training that we've sent her to will apply to these hours. Will could probably talk more along this. They've changed the CTE over the years and it's really helped us out in this case.
You can let somebody in from industry, but they have to have had 1,800 hours of professional experience in the industry. Not necessarily even have to have a college degree.
They used to have a bachelor's and then they changed it. They used to have an associate's and now
If they're industry proven, you come on a 3-year plan. I think it's up to 18 credits they have to attain over pedagogical level teaching over a 3-year period.
There's an advisory committee.
Advisory committee is a part of this instructional appraisal committee under the direction of Ray. I used to do this all the time. Put the committee together, you set a number of questions to prove and ascertain their expertise in industry and everything, and the committee signs off. And then these schools would be that, say here, and the committee's decision, submit the paperwork to TSBC, and that's how it goes.
How many classes is she?
So
How many classes?
she'll have 3. She's 2 culinary arts and an independent.
So who was previously in this position?
We haven't had the program for 2 years. Nikki Vogel was our last.
Oh, so 2 years you've been taking.
Yeah.
And Nikki retired.
Nikki retired. And we flew the job then, and once again had 0 applicants and haven't been able to offer it since.
The major driving forces, again, for us to pursue this was 71 kids that were interested in the program, and that's a plethora of kids. So,
Good forecasting in the spring.
Yeah.
The interest is definitely.
well, okay.
What do they think for the independent living? What type of things?
It's kind of, they can do check plugins, some sewing, those different things, yeah. Washing clothes, laundry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know, it's like, every senior's gonna have to take that.
Suzanne, she's concentrated on cooking. Well,
Well, that's it.
I say that, but she didn't say anything about checking.
Oh, that's a good one.
Well, she made it just the cooking, yeah.
It's just,
Very comfortable with the other stuff, so.
she did great.
Yeah.
At least it cut
That'd be downstairs.
Yeah,
How did we come up with the 0.5 second? That just seems like a real thing.
Well, teach 3 classes.
Okay, so, yeah, it just seemed, I thought, 0.6, 0.5
Yeah,
So that's how it works out.
Yes.
that's what it was on the calculator. So.
Yeah.
That's just curious.
Right.
All right. That's great.
I move that we approve the nomination for culinary arts position at, 157 FTE.
One second.
All right, Darrell made the motion, Becca seconded to approve June Alderson for culinary arts hire at .57 FTE. Any discussion? All those in favor?
I thought we were gonna get through these, but we did not.
I'm sure we can rate them.
All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Joe.
Thank you for pursuing that.
Yeah.
11.3 solar farm on ag. Oh, I'm sorry. Resolution number 30.
Okay,
Well, last year we had to transfer 80,000 to complete the federal expenditures at the 2,000 function level. This year, because negotiations were not settled until after the budget was adopted, we're going to run short at the 1,000 function level. So, you know, we can't allow that to happen because we cannot exceed our appropriation levels of 1,000, 2,000, 3, 4, 5, whatever. So we have to make this transfer. Now, the transfer itself is not going to affect the cash carryover. It's the expenditures that are going to affect it. In other words, the salary increases that were agreed upon after the budget was adopted.
last year.
So, unfortunately, we're going to have to transfer 144,000 because of the over expenditures at 1,000.
For this year's budget.
Right. That was ideal to finalize negotiation before you approve the budget. Sometimes it's a little off.
So we need a motion to make the transfer.
I'm going to read through resolution 30.
I'll second.
Can you have someone who can take that?
Nope. Maybe that's something you need to safety valve.
No,
Just rather,
So Darrell made the motion and Stephanie seconded to approve resolution 30. Any other discussion?
I do have a question. On the tuition for COIC, was that just,
well, a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, our effort was to reduce the amount of students we sent from high school to COIC, but didn't happen. So now we're back up to a fairly high number of students in COIC. Well, I didn't budget enough money in the federal tuition regulations to
oh, I see.
one of those variables that's hard to predict.
Yes. Motion's just correct and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Right, motion carries. So now, the solar farm on ag, it's been
Yes, Mr. Chair, very interesting proposal. The only thing that I'm asking from the board tonight, is to give me either a green light or a red light in terms of pursuing this. I think there's a lot of conversations that need to happen. But what Todd Gregory with City Renewables is proposing, and you can see there's a map there of our egg farm. And it's a Google Earth map, and you have two halves. You have the half on the right, that's 78.1 acres, and the half on the left, approximately, of 73.7 acres. Well, the 78.1 acres on the right is our acreage. They're not proposing that the solar farm go on that parcel at all. What they are proposing is that they would take up 40 acres of that 73.7 acres, most likely on the southern portion, because that's where you have the most alkali and there's not much acreage for that. The amount we get in our grazing lease is $13.52 per year off of that piece of property. So you'd still be able to graze a portion, about 33 acres worth. But then what they're proposing is that they put a solar farm on that 40 acres that it would generate initially $4,800 per year in lease, and with a $100 increment annually for the life of the lease. This would be a city renewables project where they would generate electricity and selling it, and they would be leasing the property from us. I was rather intrigued because you oftentimes now see marginally productive ag land, with solar farms on it, or wind generation, or things of that nature. It also would be a very nice boost for our ag program in terms of generating additional revenue for equipment or FFA, whatever. I would certainly want to have a key conversation with the Ag Advisory Committee. If you look at the lease, the bargain and sale deed there, that property is deeded to the school district by the county commissioners for the purpose of supporting the FFA program. I need Mr. Hedlund to look at this, and he hasn't even taken a look at this, because again, all I'm asking for the word tonight is green light, proceed, or red light, that we're not interested. I would want Hedlund's eyeballs on this, because from what Mr. Getty and I are reading, we probably have to take this back to the commissioners for their approval to use this property in this capacity. I would also, because the intent is to support the FFA through the deed, that the additional revenue is used for our ag program. I think that makes no sense. You can read more of the specifics in the memo that Todd has generated there. There's more work that would have to be done for final approval. And again, I'm not asking for that. All I'm asking is, yeah, we're kind of interested. Let's look into this. Or no, we're not even interested. Just forget about it, or something.
So we're not agreeing to accept his $4,800.
No.
Curious about that.
It's only 48.
What do we get?
I'd be disappointed if we had farm. I guess that's proceeding. I think we have real potential for our agriculture program. Just releasing the crop.
Oh, with the money, we do a greenhouse, an additional greenhouse kind of thing. Back here.
Well, money would help, but it's only $4,800 a year, and we'll find out half of our main property. The other one, property we can use, but, we have restrictions as far as the county refuge. We can use it, yeah. I don't know, if it's a huge sum of money, I guess I would. I think what would happen would just be another piece of our ag farm that would be exclusive. Because to get students in agriculture, they can tell them that huge resource.
We have 150 acres.
$160.
160 and half of it's irrigated.
And I'm not, did we get a title report on the property? Not sure. I'd be interested in seeing it. It was an ag farm since the 30s.
We just didn't acquire this in 1976.
Okay.
So I'm really concerned about the television.
Yeah, I don't know, that's the stuff, that's the research we have to do.
So I guess that's,
You'd like them to research it?
yeah, we have to have more answers. I'd like to have research. But if we're only going to get $4,800 a year, I think we can develop our own program to do more of the income, just leasing out.
So 20 an acre a year.
You know, I was in CRP for years, which was a real frustration for me. Both of the students who I was at, and the government gave me a check.
I think, plus with KC, with Oregon State often an agriculture through KCC, they just put their farm in over in Private Falls. If we want to go down that path, we already have the land, that's usually what keeps other schools from.
I guess if we want to look into it, yeah, let's look into it. Let's definitely. Yeah, try.
We'd like to see some farms and other stuff.
There's some plots.
Oh, yeah, replicated plots. Would be great.
So, pizza and maybe,
What do you think?
Well, I agree with that. It concerns me, in fact, that it's 40 acres, and that piece of ground is really, that we can debate what's happened with in the last 15 years, but I think the intent was actually utilized for some level of ag education. And yeah, we could probably tweak this to say that there's a benefit grant program. I think the perception is we can piece that up a long-term basis, but so let's find out whether it's good ground or not. And that's a big chunk of ground, and I just don't know at this point if that's really what I would be more excited if maybe the proposal was it was going to be a solar project that would then benefit in terms of running a pivot or running the irrigation system that was directly ag related. There were pivot systems over in Crandall County that are running off of solar power. I could justify saying, okay, it's added value to the land, it's added value to the program, and there's an ag engineering link there. But just to say, no, we take this around, it's marginal, we really don't think we could do anything with it, so let's just lease it out. I'm probably not there yet.
So you actually have the idea is to do an ag engineering connection, plumbing, equipment. Does that mean that if some of that power was used in for the facility, that would be then starting to move in the right direction, right?
But that wasn't part of the proposal.
So that's a discussion, that's a real discussion point.
Well, and I need to put it out to bid, we have no idea if this is under market value, if there's, we have nothing to compare it to.
Yeah, that would be part of the research we have.
I think we need to do research. So we need to hear from the advisory committee.
Well, that would be
And I think,
most,
we need to ask them what they think the best uses are for that. And secondly, unrelated, maybe if we get on the thing with solar there and whatnot, we have a water right there, groundwater right there, it's going to be subject to forfeiture. It hasn't been used since the 80s. It's on the string.
How long do you let that sit idle?
After 5 years, it's subject to forfeiture.
how much is it?
It might be more than that. The well and everything there, the pump was there, the sprinklers were there, everything was there.
Oftentimes, person like still in it, that well, trying to some sort of a facility there to serve the kids that have property that they're 4-H, that they have in this case on that property. Some barns and corrals.
There you go.
It's the only way I can do that. That's what it's-
Well, anyway, that's a little,
And I think that the solar thing has some education potential too, but there's a piece, there's a lot of solar technology pieces in agriculture. The question is, what are they and how do you learn this program?
Well, and we've already approved one farm that we can provide all of our educational needs from that. So this, the water, that, we should definitely look into that water. We haven't.
I would hate to
keep
see
it.
them.
Let it sit, right?
I would hate to see it.
Yeah, no kidding.
That was a very unwise decision to school, because that was one of
Yeah.
Do what?
we need to at least use the resource, even if we use it an hour a year.
Right.
And one thing I guess I would recommend, when I've been out on that ground, I've seen it, yeah, that end is a little less productive, but I think we really want to get a true assessment of what the production level is. I mean, a lot of people say it's plenty of ground and it's different soil panels, but he's looking at soil panels. You know, I would like to know of that 40 acres, really how much is deemed not very productive. If it's 10 acres, over the long term, that's basically where we want to put our canals and barns if we were going to move down that road. And so you wouldn't then carve it out of the other end. So I'd like to see, I guess, a long-term strategy in terms of what some other ideas would be.
Well, what's ground worth, we might be better off to sell it and invest the money. I mean, even if it's, I don't know if it's,
One thing,
it's an acre.
we involved the 4-H project over here, Pete, on the side.
That's right.
The 4-H housing thing over here on that.
Deeded it to us.
I can see that possibly.
Actually, deeded it to us.
Yeah. And
I'm
that's
just-
technically a 4-H FFA project, but
Is that the reason?
yeah, we've got.
They're based.
They're still looking at the water, we've got some sheep out there. But the same token, you could then move that to more of a FFA, vocational ag program and have their facility out there where they could then
Try the old version on that.
because really the program that we have set up so far is really for pigs and sheep, it's not for cattle. And so if you move to a cattle type facility, then you have another piece out on the ag property, that would accommodate those things.
Right.
And you could share the resource. Right. I think there's a lot of questions on what where.
Well, and I guess I'm trying to figure out what direction you want me to go with this. And it sounds like you're really wanting for us to come up with an egg farm usage going forward. And I'm not hearing exactly where this would need to fit into that, because
I mean, I guess we could look into it, but I wouldn't be interested if we have other uses for $4,800 a year. If we want it, we could buy it. We'd be better off to sell it than for $125,000 over what was the course of the lease.
25 years.
25 years, $150,000.
Yeah, I think you can sell it. So if you read the conditions, you have to use it for a certain purpose, if not, then it's back. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to get that. We
You
need
need to
to
look, that has to be the first look.
I'm not sure that that's enforceable. I've seen a lot of these, but I want this to remain my friend. Those kind of things.
Well,
We need an opinion.
how if I get Edmund to do some research on it, and I bring him to the next board meeting to tell us what is going on with this, where we're at. That's not the plan.
That's not the first.
First look.
think, yeah, we probably need to flesh out
We could even
what
do
we can and can't do with it.
Right.
Then once we have full understanding what we can and can't do, then we can decide, do we want to bounce it off to the Ag Advisory Committee and get their input and share some of our long-term thoughts and have them kind of wrestle with, would we like to use it for a farm project or is this one going better? And then they can get, I think they need to weigh in on the second phase.
Right.
find out if we can do it, and then I just, I'd like to have some experience with sitting in before we get something like that. That's a long time to tie any future role up with an agreement with somebody who really don't have any contractor.
State of some,
We have, we haven't built anything.
Will we get a title report in the chamber title?
I will ask him if he's going to, since we have Jeff.
Because like, it was an ag farm for a long time.
Right.
Since the thirties.
Since the thirties.
Yeah.
I was in that program, really raised. Good meats. Yeah, we've been out for filing, online. Probably throw it both times. So,
We could probably just get a title report from the title company and not have to pay Jeff to do that. Title reports would be pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
All right, does that kind of give you the direction we need?
Yep, gives him a first step.
All right. So, any announcements?
None, Mr. Chair.
Another item of the, all right.
Yeah, just, I thought about just emailing this to you, but probably good if we just kind of talk about it. This is a smart balance field test report. There's still a lot of controversy in terms of the smart balance assessment. There was a push by OEA a couple months ago to disassociate smart balance assessments to teacher evaluation. There was a ruling put out by OT and Rob Saxon that said, no, we're still going to be connected. And then my meetings just last week, I heard that there is a question in the feds in terms of deferring connecting smart balance assessment results with the teacher evaluation because of the lack of statistical validity. Anytime you create a norm test, you have to test your test items to make sure it's valid. If you write a bad test item, and that's considered invalid test item. You wouldn't hold people accountable for a bad test item. And so smart balance has not been rolled out statistically like it should have. It's been more of a politically motivated measure. So you kind of see the number of assessments given. This is smart balance first go around with gathering data, say, gee, are these test items valid or not? There is a question pending right now that feds will be giving the state board of guidance on in terms of, gee, can we defer attaching teacher evaluations to growth through smart balance or not? There's a lot of things still up in the air in regards to this. One of the major components to moving into smart balance pilot was the technology aspect. And I gotta say the technology did perform very well. And they worked that locally. So just kind of a report there, just for your feedback.
But you said the technology didn't perform well?
Did it?
It did.
Yes, it did. From our standpoint, it worked well. Very few glitches. Did we have some before? Overall, the challenge is going to be when we get the results back. We're not sure because personal observations of watching students take the exam, especially the mathematics exam, it wasn't unless your answer to this math problem, it was describing your logic and your thoughts and their problem solving, so they're writing paragraphs on math. So think about trying to grade that, and then be reliable in terms of grading. If I put that kind of the test item in front of all 5 of you and grade it right now, you probably get our brain with the final score. So it has it's called integrated reliability system too.
So all of our classes took the smart balance this year, or just?
No. It was just a few that were approved. At elementary level, we had
Third grade reading, fourth grade math.
grade,
No, excuse me, fourth grade math, fifth grade.
fifth grade. And then
7th, 8th grade math, 10th, 11th grade. Right.
And did we poll the teachers to see how they like
Well, I'm
it?
very pleased to see Carol show up here tonight. And give a quick report.
It was a very trying year as far as testing went, because we prepared, Kayla Tagg and I, the other fourth grade teacher, implemented the Common Core in our program this year. We just dove in and did it for math and reading. We didn't have textbooks for it. We won't have math textbooks for it. We had to come up with our own research and implement it. And that was a huge job, and we knew it was going to be, so we started early, and we prepared and prepared and prepared. Then it came time to prepare them for the OAKS, which emphasizes a different type of questioning and a different style. And so then we stopped, prepared them for OAKS because OAKS test came first. Then we reviewed quickly and went into Smarter Balance. There were some things with the Smarter Balance test. They weighted very heavily compared to OAKS, did a smoother, broader subject or cross-section of a math curriculum, whereas the Common Core would hit one specific thing about 10 times on the test, over and over. Equivalent fractions, I'll tell you, was there. Boom, 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 boom for the kids. They did have to type their response, and not having had keyboarding, that was difficult for them to get across what they were trying to say. Most of them prevailed and did a pretty good job, but I think they would do better if we had a full keyboarding unit. We did implement keyboarding in the fourth grade and got them in the lab as much as we could, but then testing hit and the lab was tied up, so you stop that too. So our kids basically had a few weeks between OAKS and then it was Smarter Balance time, and they went in and did that. The kids were very positive. They tried really hard. They did their best. They knew they were a field test. They knew they probably would never see the results, but they knew that if it was a bad question, they might give it again. Another kid might get it. So they did their very best on them. There were some glitches. They couldn't put commas in numbers. They couldn't assign a $sign to their answer, which, we pound them to label. There were things like that came up that they couldn't do. And so there were frustrations from the kids using the program at that level. But as far as the technology and where our lab worked for it, our lab worked fine. There were just some problems with the test. I do have a comment I'd like to make about tying teacher evaluation to this Smarter Balance test. I think it's way too soon to do that. We don't have textbooks. We're grappling for the Common Core to put it in. And I don't think it's fair to hold a teacher accountable for a student's test score if they don't have the proper materials to implement that program.
Oh, okay, so sometime in the future.
It might be appropriate. I don't know. Yeah, it might.
Keep in mind, I don't have a math textbook at all.
right,
Okay, all right,
that
okay.
is part of the debate at state level, exactly what you were saying.
And it was a lot of time finding things, downloading things, printing things. We got a message saying cut back on the printing, and we're like, we're sending it to the ESD as fast as we could, and but that was just part of it. So it was pretty cumbersome to implement that and go for it. Pretty difficult on a fourth grade student. Plus you have easy CBM testing for the district. Then you have the Smarter Balance, you have the OAKS testing. They'd like you to throw in every now and then the, is it star reading?
Yeah.
And math to check their progress too. So it's pretty cumbersome at the fourth grade level. I'm sure it is at other levels too, but I can only speak to that one.
We're concerned about how much time out of class these Smarter Balance tests. I think Kristen figured about 3 weeks of her class time was used testing.
3 weeks
3 weeks.
No, I think ours was even more.
for testing,
Ours was even more for testing.
not preparing for the test, testing.
Testing itself, yeah.
Yeah, 3.
Wow, that is,
That is, and that's going to stay that way?
Well, we're looking at the way we schedule it. That's one thing we learned this year is, we talked with Tara about scheduling it differently. So it does not take so much time out of class.
Because I was thinking, well, if you want to tie your teacher evaluation to it, you need to test the beginning of the year and the end of the year, but not 3 weeks apart.
There's only a window where you
Yeah,
can.
at the end of the year.
I mean, that,
It's in May, as a matter of fact, it's late.
yeah, I remember when Tammy told us about it, it was cumulative at the end of the year, it was not November to, I remember all that for 3 weeks.
And this year in May, testing was, they were bouncing off the walls. We had good weather. You know, if it had rained and snowed like some springs, it probably would have gone a little smoother. But they were done. You know, they had tested for oats, they tested ECCBM, they had done all this stuff all year. And then to throw the smarter balance in at the end, we talked hard, fast, long, sat on them pretty hard to get them to concentrate on that test. So, and like I said, they put forth a good effort. They tried to rise to it, but concentration's pretty weak when you got sunny days in May.
Well, keyboarding, that's a huge issue.
It is. It is a huge issue.
Yeah. Is fourth grade the first it tests smarter balance test?
Actually, third grade. So, and I have no idea what the amount of keyboarding involved in third grade is. Investigate that further, but from fourth grade on up, there is a keyboarding and this is nice.
And that's again, that's the reason why everyone should pilot to learn
Oh, yeah.
things like this. Because yeah, keyboarding is something you need to do that.
I'm trying to think of, there's two parts of the test, and I'm trying to think of the names. One of them is they go in and take it like the Oaks test. It's just, you know, they performance, and then there's the non-performance task, and that's even more in-depth keyboarding, and all of the answers are ones that they have to describe their processes to, and how they came up at the end. Some of them even ask them to do a second way that they could have done that problem. And so that's, not only do they have to work it again, then they have to explain that process too. So,
Okay.
Are you glad you're not in fourth grade?
Well, I really remember Carol and Kayla a lot of praise and kudos for really taking on Common Core. When I first learned about the Common Core about 3 or 4 years ago when it first came out, the seventh grade level was much greater as far as embracing, adapting, and learning Common Core as far as the curriculum standards go to be the fourth grade. That's going to be like about 43% jump in their knowledge base as far as those adaptation. So,
Well, I
these two
know-
ladies have embraced it, and I'm very proud of both of us.
if we had textbooks that went with it, it would have been so much easier, you know, just to guide us. We took Baker's schedule and we plugged it in and started finding the materials and went from there, but
Bakers.
Baker School District, they had a schedule of Common Core because they had already implemented, like when to do what section of it, so we followed their program.
Oh,
Mr. Cable has them too.
Very much.
Thank you.
all right.
Well, and I'm glad he asked you. I knew you had done it when I wasn't gonna ask you about it, so.
These girls have been picked on.
That's
Pick up her directly.
correct.
It's all right.
Very good, thank you.
So do we have a medium where you can share that with Tara? Because,
Oh, we did.
so, okay,
She was there in the lab as they took it, and as the hands went up and they'd say, we can't do this. How do I do this?
so,
And we would look at the screen and say, don't see how you can do that. And she would too, so
okay, that's great.
she's got it all.
Well, thanks. Guys.
We didn't have it.
I wasn't sure if you guys wanted to prove that tonight or wait.
Yeah, we're still in discussion phase.
Not number 2.
You had a late, a second late item, is there?
Item 2, restoration of territory facility location.
Yeah.
hard for me to tell exactly where we land.
No, I thought we,
All at once.
No,
All
just
right.
number two.
just the custodian.
That was my understanding.
All right.
Because we would have item 15.2. That would be the restoration of the part-time custodian position. So is there,
I'll move to approve the restoration of the part-time union custodian position. 3.5 hours a day for a 190-day contract.
I said,
so Bill made the motion, Stephanie seconded to approve the restoration of the part-time union custodian position at 3.5 hours per day on a 90-day contract. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries. Yes.
Item 3.
No, we just wanted to,
I know. Shouldn't we have that already? We're short of maintenance person.
We used to have 3 maintenance people, we're down to 1.5. And that half is limited to the number of hours.
So shouldn't we have got somebody for the summer?
We just have summer grounds crews, those are the late high school or college kids. I'm talking about maintenance person that really do some maintenance.
I applied for this.
Yeah, it's different level. Okay,
So how many others do we have?
for the summer grounds,
Yes. Okay, are they working out?
plus our one person. Our one full-time person that can work,
right, our district maintenance was plus
plus
maybe
full,
1.5.
Okay.
but we have one that can't work.
Right, this over this contract
Yeah.
for days.
So we have one person plus four.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next board meeting. We'll read the items. So the next board meeting will be as scheduled for the 14th of July. Yes.
Well, we a lot of housekeeping thing in the first meeting, we'll be electing the chair, vice chair,
We need a soccer.
yeah, soccer field. Okay.
All your handbooks,
Elementary handbooks.
ASB account. So, transfer.
Anybody else?
For the kindergarten teacher,
We'll-
today, once we have this.
Are we gonna have a work session with that afternoon, or did that help us?
We've got a work session, we've got to get there.
Yeah, to talk about that.
Yeah, we need that.
Started to talk
We
about.
have, we were gonna table the rest of that physical discussion until then, so let's have a work session and then anything else.
Yeah.
At least that.
I'll have a work session / executive.
Okay.
6 o'clock.
Yeah, it should be 6 unless we're ready to show.
Right.
There we go. All right. We will adjourn.
Try your first.